Hell yeah, you did. So, the book
Yeah.
is nakaka-relate ako eh. Nakaka-relate
Okay.
ako sobra. That's very juicy as shit. Oh. I'm sorry. Bawal pa na magmura dito. I mean,
That's the kind of impact that I really wanted when I was really putting it together.
duh, duh. Hi, for those who are new to this channel, I am John Luke. I am a soon to be self published author, and my book is coming out in December 2020. And I'm finally excited to release that book. But enough about me. We are here with a very special guest. Well, all of my guests naman are special. Who am I kidding? But we are with Doc Raymond Oliver Cruz. Hi, Doc.
Hello, John Luke.
How are you?
Good evening. Good evening. Good day if this is going to be on recording. I'm okay. I'm great. Yeah, it's a great
Thank
day.
Thank you for making time for this. I super appreciate it. So I
Yeah,
am
it's the
going.
pleasure is mine also. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah. So I'm going to read your author description for everyone's information. So Raymond is a family physician. When not seeing patients at his clinic or during house calls, you may find him at a basketball court, a beachfront, which I could use, a public park, or at a karaoke bar. Writing is his passion, and he hopes to deliver a message of hope and love to all humanity through his book. Yun.
Right, right.
Right. So, yeah, please tell us more about yourself.
Well, aside from what's written there, of course, I am a family medicine specialist. So aside from that, I also teach in the College of Medicine, and I'm also working as a pharmacovigilance associate director from a pharmaceutical company here or it's an international company. I'm sure you're hearing a lot about that company right now. So that's basically what I do, aside from what's mentioned in the book, of course. Yeah, I
Nice.
guess that's it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ayun. So let's move on to the next. Unrequited and its origin. Can you tell me about the history of Unrequited? Why you came up with this idea of writing poems?
It's actually not really a plan, but it just came out as an idea, especially now that we have the pandemic issue, and there's a lot of idle time that you can get to think about uh, things that you can write. I've been writing. I'm also a I'm also writing a piece for the Root Foundation, which, by the way, is one of the beneficiaries of the sales of Unrequited. So I also write a blog there. It's called the Philosopher, and it talks about end of life issues. But of course, I also talk about other stuff aside from end of life issues and medicine in the blog if you get to check it out. So maybe it's just the timing of things, and I've always wanted to write a book, but I really didn't have an idea. I'm sure you know the feeling, John Luke, and that's why we're in the same boat right now, and so we're now looking forward to being real authors and going about the things which we only imagined before, and now it's becoming reality. I'm sure you know the feeling.
Yes, very much. But yeah, paano nag-start yung yung idea of writing Unrequited? I mean, what triggered it? Did it trigger any? I know that you had, because of the pandemic, you had the time to write it, but what
Yeah,
triggered the idea? That's what I'm curious about.
it's it's uh it's probably something about poetry that uh, mirrors something inside you that you want to tell a very intimate story, but you also want that story to have something of a redeeming value. And through all of your experiences, everything that is going on around you, you get to put together something. It's actually not that complicated, the book. I'm sure you know because you have read it in its entirety. I actually wanted it to be quite simple so that you can finish it in one reading. And at the same time, if you get to finish it, I want it to remain in your head and for you to ponder on some of the things that you read about and maybe find its application in your life. So I wanted to write a book that you don't just put down after you've read it. You know, it's something that you can look back onto when you have the time or when you're having some issues and you can look back to it and maybe be inspired. I wanted to write something like that, and I hope I've accomplished it.
Hell yeah, you did. So the book is so much feels to it. I mean, binasa ko siya the yesterday, I think. Oh, yesterday, and I reread it today. Um, yeah, and sobrang feelings talaga. As in, the feels of the book is it'll hit you hard. Some of the poems really hit you hard. So
Yeah,
it did
that's great,
accomplish
and
what you planned. Yeah.
that was what I was hoping. And also, there are a lot of underlying issues that we can talk about in Unrequited. Maybe you've noticed there's some issues on not just unanswered questions or unrequited feelings. There are also aspects on being an adopted child or communication issues within families, and of course the viral crisis that we now have, the pandemic, and of course your personal issues with your creator. Those things I've tried to put in such a short story which is written in poetry form, and I think that's what's unique about it. And I hope uh, I hope other people would get to read it and give their inputs also on the issues that I put forward in the book.
Yeah, yeah, I did. So yeah, so as well. It's a good book. Maybe I might read it again for the third time. Just some of the poems I've. So yeah, okay. Let's move on to the next. Your process of writing poems. What's your process? I mean, also if you have a certain schedule, are you also a moody writer? You only write when you feel like writing.
Yeah, I think it's also time and mood is important. Uh, Sometimes you don't have the time because it's different when you're writing poetry. It's like a different side of the brain is working. And being a physician, there's also another part of the brain that's working sometimes. And, in order for you to dissociate from it, and it's actually a relaxing time for me when I'm starting to write this stuff. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of time to do that. And the reason why this pandemic has been helpful is because it gave me a little more time to really write something like this. It's a challenge really to put together a story in poetry form. I could have written just straight poetry and just put on some of those some of those words and feelings there, but I wanted it to have some sort of a story that people can relate to. And that was the challenging part, because how could I put together something in such a in just those short poetry forms, and it was the uh, it was the process of putting it together that really challenged me. And Kat really helped me. Our publisher, our editor, and our mentor really gave her inputs on how I could improve the manuscript. And fortunately, it was not that long, so it was going to be easy for her to really read through it and give her suggestions. And that's why maybe I just happened to finish the book earlier than some of the mentees that she had. That maybe that's the advantage. I don't know if I could really write novel types like you guys are doing. I would love to, but as of now,
We'll
it's
get to
yeah,
that.
yeah. We'll get to that maybe on the next questions that you have. We will talk about it.
But I'm curious. Whenever you write poems, like for example, obviously the poems from this book now,
Mhm.
how long does it take for you to finish one poem? Like 5 minutes,
Sometimes
ten
I
minutes?
finish, yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah,
Wow.
if the idea is really there, the rhymes just come to you. Sometimes it's just one writing. No more edits. As soon as I finish it, and then that's it. Because when I second guess the things that I'm going to write, sometimes it doesn't come out as well, and it's sometimes the feeling is not anymore there when you overthink the words. So maybe it's better if you just write it within a short span of time, and then just try to get in the moment. Try to you try to empathize with maybe some people who you talk to, or some of the things that you have watched on television, and you just try to get into their characters, and that's how maybe some of those poems came up.
Okay. So follow-up question. Do you have poems that are unpublished? That's not in this book.
Yes,
Ah.
some of them are some of them are in my mind, some of them are written somewhere, but it's sometimes you don't know what to do with them. Maybe maybe they will resurrect at some point, but as of now, it's in the works, and I'm really making plans of having a second part of Unrequited, but maybe it's something that we should all watch out for, because I have an idea, but I'm also going to surprise myself with what I'm going to come up with. It's really going
Okay.
to be something spontaneous again, just like this one. This is a very spontaneous book, actually.
It
I've been
sounds
thinking
well
about the
planned.
concept, but yeah, it sounds well planned. But actually, some of the things that were written there just came at the spur of the moment.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. So I am definitely going to watch out for that for your next book. Okay, we
yeah,
will move on. How you touched on this earlier. So how did you get
yeah.
started as a poet? I mean, of all the categories or the type of writing you can choose, why choose to be a poet, not a novel writer,
Uh,
not a short
no, but
story type of
I think
person?
I think it's for me. I think it's a lot easier than a novel, because you can it's not really that long. Some people would like to really write a narrative. Maybe some of you guys do, and maybe you find it easier. But uh, I like it when I hear the words and it sounds like a song. That's why I like poetry. And another thing is when I want to really delve on emotional things, it's more dramatic when it's in poetry form, especially when the goal is really for people to ponder upon a thought. I think I think poetry is better to express that. So I think that's basically it. I've written also some poems. If you'll find on my Facebook account, on some maybe on some pages there, I've written some. Maybe for Christmas, New Year, for Easter Sunday, just some random thoughts. And maybe from time to time I will resurrect them when the opportunity comes. If you haven't read it yet, but
Yes.
yeah,
Mga
it's there.
limited edition
Mga limited
poem.
edition, yeah, pang ano lang,
Yeah.
pang moment lang. Kunyari, Easter Sunday ngayon, the thoughts about it. Christmas, I've written a couple. It's also in story form actually. I don't know if I can resurrect it right now, but it's in my Facebook account. Maybe we can talk about it sometime. Yeah, it's there. Kasi lumalabas
Coming
lang yun sa
soon.
feed, di ba?
Yeah.
Pag nawala na sa feed, wala na siya.
Yeah, memories. Yung mga
Yeah,
memories, di ba?
parang memories. Or pag lumabas ulit after 1 year, yun, baka ma-resurrect siya ulit. Something
Don't
like that.
forget to share.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so I have post-its. So it's marked here.
Wow.
These are I found some very interesting stanzas. Okay, I
Okay.
think the first one you already
I
know.
don't have any idea, by the way, what those stanzas are. Okay, this is going to be a surprise. I know you told me that you're going to do this, but I don't have any idea what those are. So surprise me, John. What are those stanzas?
Okay, so it's from. Okay lang I'm gonna read it aloud,
Sure.
and
It's
may I
actually
have the
meant to be
honor.
read aloud. Yeah, I suggest if you have the book and you read it aloud and you read it alone so that you can really feel it better. Because when you're in a crowded bus or maybe, when there's
Yes,
chaos around you, maybe it will not have the same effect. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's
Okay,
see. Let's go.
okay. So from naiiyak ako. So
Oh,
from
sige.
poem, poem number 11. Poem number
11.
11.
Okay.
Kiss. Yes. So
Okay.
there's the
I think
stanza.
you love that. You love that
I
poem,
love this
Kiss.
one. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this. Nakaka-relate ako eh. Nakaka-relate
Okay.
ako. So, a different story for another time. So anyway,
Okay.
I witnessed it around that chair, the whispered words
Mm-hmm.
without a care. You even
Mm-hmm.
flickered the curly hair. Oh, how I wished I was not there. That's very juicy. So, what does this mean? Sorry.
They were talking to one another, of course, and the person, the guy had curly hair, and that's basically it. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Damn.
it's very wholesome. Yeah, no,
It is wholesome.
yes,
Pero nung
yes.
nabasa ko siya, seriously, ay shit. Ay, sorry. Bawal pala magmura dito. I mean, so,
Yeah, it's okay.
apektado eh.
This means this is a live show. Okay.
Mm, apektado eh, no? No, I was saying it really affected me because I can really relate because I went through a similar story. So yeah, so sobrang nakaka-relate. So yun pala yun. Okay. So it
That's the kind of impact that I really wanted when I was really putting it together. I wanted some things to have an impact on every person who reads it, so that it becomes memorable. And I'm glad that it had that effect on you, because that's really my goal in writing something like this. That's great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. Okay. Next. Okay.
Next.
Number 19, poem 19,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Curse. Uh
Mm-hmm.
Also from Love is Painful.
Okay.
So please shout curses back at me. Just don't leave me in a crying spree. I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather hear a rambling voice than rot in silence without a choice. So what was going on here? If you don't mind me asking, if it's too personal, just let me know.
I don't know. I just thought about it. I don't recall being in any mood at that point, but maybe it just reflected, a feeling of utter uselessness whenever you're rejected, or whenever there is no response when you are expecting something. And it's a general feeling that a lot of people get to have at some point in their lives. It's not just about being unanswered or rejected in terms of relationships. Maybe in terms of any goal that you might have. You might be pursuing something, a career. You might be pursuing, you have different objectives. Maybe you're an athlete, you want to win something, but you didn't. You know, uh, at some point in your life, you will feel really dejected. And that feeling of dejection would come out as, you would wish that you never existed, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I
also
agree.
have a feeling for, I also didn't mention that uh, I feel sad for suicidal ideations, and especially those who really get to who really do suicides, because I think it's really bad, because we want people to always be hopeful, no matter the circumstances, and ending one's life or hurting oneself should never be an option. So
It's
I
never
think,
the solution.
yeah, it's never the solution. Agree.
Nice. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I
Thank
mean,
you, thank you.
the reason why I'm marking these stanzas, because I I think it's
Hmm.
more for me what it did for me than it does for you. That's why I don't know why I'm asking you. I should be asking myself why
Hmm.
why these words are affecting me. Okay, last
Yeah, you will be
stanza.
able to answer them yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, but I just wanna hear your thoughts
yeah.
as well. Last
Okay,
stanza
okay.
that I'm going to mention. You from poem 36 voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Love is
Mm-hmm.
Hopeful. You will
Mm-hmm.
not have all the answers. Just have faith in all our prayers. I'll be there if needed be. I'll share in your misery. So, can you tell us something about that stanza?
Uh, it's again, if you're losing a lot of motivation in what you're doing, and sometimes everything is against you, you'll wonder what's going for you. And that's when your relationship with probably the one you believe in, your creator, whatever you call him, that's when it comes out. And the thing is, if you really have a strong faith in that, you will really find the answers. So Unrequited is about finding answers, actually. And if you read the book, you will find that the answer is there. So maybe that's the general sentiment that I would also like to impart. There will always be an answer. It might not be now. It may be later, but you will find out sooner than you think. Okay, so just hang in there, hold on, and hope for the best all the time.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Grabe ang wise ni Doc. What's
Ano,
what's your
why is magulang ba? Ganun.
Hindi, wise? No, very wise, very wise. The stuff that you're saying, it definitely can
Maybe it
have
comes with
a lot
age.
of
It comes
support.
with age, most probably.
What are you drinking? What's your drink of choice for
This
today?
one? No, this is just water. My lips dry up a little bit. Uh, Maybe difficult for me to talk. That's why I need that. This cup is, this is from my medical school. I'm from
Mm.
PLM, and I'm a member of Beta Mu Sigma. So shout out to my broads. Right? Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Tubig lang yan, tubig.
Super.
I don't usually drink a lot of beverages. Sometimes when I want to stay awake, I drink coffee or tea, but it's usually water. Yeah. What about you? What are you taking? I like that cup also, Marvel.
Yeah, it's coffee. It's coffee.
Okay. Yeah, at this time, yeah, maybe you're really a night person.
I am really am a
Yeah.
night person. I really am.
Okay. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
I wish I was drinking Jack and Coke, but yeah, yung book mo kasi.
Okay.
It had a lot of memories.
Yeah,
Um, hmm, yes, you were saying something. Sorry.
no, we will try to see if the drinks that you have will also have some significance in some of the passages that we have here. Let's see.
Okay, on to the next question. If you were to write a novel, which we you mentioned a little bit, Kanina, what would
Mhm.
be your preferred writing tense, point of view, and genre?
Uh, I've been reading some novels. For example, John Grisham would like, uh, I think it was The Brethren, if you read that by John Grisham. He was on the first person point of view. It was a, he was in prison because if I remember right, he embezzled some funds or something, or he was associated with a political stuff. I'm not anymore sure, but it's very funny because they were actually trying to uh, scam some people from prison. Okay, so I think that's first person, and it's effective because it really focused on the story. So if you're focusing on really telling a story, I think the first person is a great way to impart that story. But if you're focusing, I think, on complex characters, I think the third person is good because it enables you to really get deep into that character by describing everything about that person. Okay. So of course in the first person, it's like it's like you're a god if you know everything about that person and you're also the storyteller. But on the third person point of view, if you I think if you really want to describe a character well and all of the intricacies of that character, the third person would really work. I mean, that's just for me. But in terms of my comfort zone, maybe if I were going to tell a story that's rich in plot and not really focusing on character, it's going to be first person point of
Okay.
view. And view the genre. You're writing science fiction, right?
Yeah.
It's also interesting because I've read two interesting books which I would like to put together. If you've read Sapiens,
Not yet.
uh, yeah, I think it's here. Sapiens.
Hmm.
This one. Okay. It's a story about uh, it's a story about the human race. Okay. And then I also have a book somewhere there. It's called The Gene and the History of the Gene. And the gene is very impersonal, and this one is about the growth of our relationships. Sapiens. Combining them together, uh, when way before we became human beings. The
Homo
basic
sapien.
consensus of scientists is that we emerged as unicellular organisms, bacteria, fungi. And the reason why we became multicellular is because these bacteria, these fungi, which were unicellular, found it better when they associated with one another. And so that's how we evolved. And so that's why up to now, we're still social individuals. We interact. One of the things that pressures us during this pandemic is the fact that, there's a limitation in the way we interact with other individuals. And that's causing us stress because that's just our nature. We really need that interaction. And it's actually the basis for our existence. The reason why we exist right now as we are is because of those interactions which were formed billions of years ago. So maybe a plot focusing on those things would really be interesting stuff. And especially now when we are already familiar with the pandemic, with DNA and with the vaccine, it would be more interesting for a lot of people compared to before when, So yeah, it's something between the relationships that were formed because of our nature as human beings, and the fact that the even at a molecular level and at a unicellular level, it is those interactions that exist that make us have life as we have now. No? Life exists right now because of those interactions and relationships. So somewhere
I
along
think
that line, if I am going to write it,
yeah, I think you'll be perfect for that because you do know the science behind it, and you'll be able to expand its
yeah.
branches to however you want to go because you
Mhm.
do know the basic principles behind
Yeah.
it. So I
I
think that
actually
would be
teach. Yeah, I actually teach biochemistry also in medical school. That's why it's those topics are close to my heart also.
nice.
Yeah.
So there, yeah, I would read that. Definitely
Great,
read
great, great. I'm going to go plan it. Hopefully,
that.
I will be able to finish it.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so science fiction would be your preferred genre? I mean,
Maybe
aside from
that's one.
poetry. Mm,
I also like. Do you read Mitch album books?
sorry,
They're Mitch album.
no, not yet.
Yeah. Mitch album writes about. You know, it's like you learn things from the book, but it's told through a story. It's not really. It's like a self-help book, but it's told in story form, and a lot of these topics are really they are those are the type of books that will make you think long after you've closed them. They're not really long; they're quite short. But when you're reading them, they're very emotional, and then when you close it, it makes you think about what you've read. And as I said, I like that effect. So maybe something along that line also.
Is it fiction or non-fiction? The one you're mentioning?
It's fiction. It's fiction.
Fiction,
Mitch
fiction.
Albom writes fiction. Yeah. So the five people you meet in heaven, Tuesdays with Maury. There's a lot more.
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
check.
If you find emotional books quite steering for you, I think Mitch Albom would be a great choice.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you answered this question. No, will you be able? Oh, will you be writing a novel?
I
You are
wish.
planning it? And
I wish. Yeah.
what would it be about? So you just mentioned *Sapiens* and the other. What's the other part?
Yeah. The Gene.
The Gene.
There's a book called The Gene. It's the history of our. It's the history of how genes were discovered, and everything is now based on genetics. Even the treatments that we have, and of course we know about all of these COVID and vaccine things. Those have genetic basis. Even diseases like cancer, all of the chronic diseases that we now have. Uh, which are big problems. Those all have genetic basis, and it's really also very interesting to read, especially how the gene was discovered.
Okay, so I heard you've sold out all your copies. Congratulations. That was your what was your strategy in terms of marketing your brand? Can you tell us about something about that?
It's really a suggestion by Kat that you know maybe you could come up with a simple bulk selling strategy, and of course, price will always be something that you have to look into. And then I really wanted also to give something back. So I said that, for every for every book that I sell, I'd really give a part of the proceeds to the Root Foundation. That's why uh, I also posted that, and I'm very happy that uh, people responded to it, and a lot of people would be also helped by the Root Foundation because if for those who might have no idea what the Root Foundation is, it's helping those people who are at the end of life, and a lot of these people do not really have the means to sustain themselves either on a medical basis or on a financial basis. So the Root Foundation helps those elderly individuals or those people at the end of their lives who are not really financially well off, who can't afford hospitals and who can only afford enough for their basic needs. So I think a lot of people really need that service, and that's why it's very close to my heart also, those things. Yes.
I agree. Nice. So there, Root Foundation. I'll leave the link down in the
Yeah.
description below so you can check it out. So yeah. Next is,
Yeah.
now that you're a self-published author, do you have any tips for those who'd want to start their self-publishing journey?
Yeah. So for those individuals who are intending to really go on a or who really have writing a book as maybe on their bucket list, I suggest that you just have to set a deadline on when you're going to finish it. So you see, we're individual people really work well when there are deadlines that are in front of them. Without a deadline when you're going to finish it, it's really not going to happen because we're just going to procrastinate on it. So if you really want to go on a self-publishing journey, you finish that book. And then when you get to finish it, you call PaperKat Books and have that and have that published so that you will now be a self-published author. I think that's the basic shortcut that I can impart to you. You can go through other routes, but I think PaperKat Books, it's the all-in package for you to become a self-published author sooner than you think. So that's probably my advice.
So that's papercatbooks.com. I'll leave the link down in the description below if you guys are interested to check it out. Okay, so on to our last one. Anything you'd like to share with the audience and to your fans? Do you have a nickname for your
Wow,
fans?
fans. Nickname for my fans. I haven't thought about it yet. I'm not really thinking too much about having any fans. I one thing that I am also firmly believing in is the fact that if ever there are people who uh, get to really like me because of the book, it's because of the book and it's not really because of me. I try to detach myself so that it keeps me grounded about these things. And so if there are people that really would like to have their book signed, it's not really because of me, but it's really because of the content of the book, which is fine because, we really have to think that it's really more of the product that people will look at, and it's not really just because of uh, it's not just because of you. It maybe it just keeps me grounded in that sense. So I'm not really thinking of any names for the fans, but if there are any who follow Unrequited, thank you very much for those who already have copies of the book. And if you don't have one, I'd say it's not just this book, but all of the other books are that under the paper cat house are very good Christmas presents. And I also say that books are the best gifts to give this pandemic. because it's very personal. You can write your personal feelings there. Uh, there, it's also very easy to purchase. You can purchase them online. You don't need to go out, and you just have it shipped to whoever you want to give it to. So there's no problem with you probably going out and getting the virus while shopping for gifts. And you can shop for most of the books in PaperKat. I think they're going to be available in Lazada, and you can get in touch, of course, with all of the authors. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great idea to give books this Christmas. And besides, everybody's home, so you might have more time to read all of the books that you haven't read yet. So that's what I would suggest.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc.
And watch out for
Uh,
John Luke's
okay.
book. It's really good. The trailer is good. I hope the copy would come out soon because I'm really waiting for it. Of course, I also like science fiction. And
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to that, John Luke. I hope it really comes out very, very soon. Congratulations also.
Thank you. I'm crossing my fingers that it'll be mid-December. Crossing
Yeah,
my fingers. Yeah. So
that's
sana
very
umabot
close. Yeah.
ng Christmas. Yeah.
Oo, sana umabot ng Pasko. Yes.
Oo nga. So there you have it, Doc Raymond Oliver Cruz. He is the author of Unrequited. So if you are seeking for answers, read his book. Buy his book first, then read it. That should be in order. Okay, and then
Okay,
I'll
you
leave
can
all
just email me. Yeah.
yeah. I'll leave his email and his Facebook links down below, so
Thank
you
you.
can
Thank you.
contact him directly if you want. If you buy Unrequited, the proceeds will go to the Root Foundation. It's for palliative and hospice care, and it'll help a lot of people and it'll help a lot of families. So, so yeah. Thank you. Don't forget to like this video and see you at the next video. Bye. Bye, Doc.
Bye. Thank you.